medical and dressing needs for young disabled children in PE and sport.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Panathlon People. I'm your host Dom Fenton and I have another guest. Hi Helen, how are you?
Morning, Dom. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good. I'm glad we've finally got this done. I seem to say this a lot on when we start the podcast that we chat about this quite a lot, but because of our schedules, it's actually taken a little while to get this going.
Yep, very true.
But we're finally here. So, we're just going to have a great conversation for the next sort of 20, 25 minutes. Helen, for those who don't know you, why don't you just introduce yourself and explain who you are?
Yep, no worries. My name is Helen Ledwich and I'm an active schools officer at Active Surrey. So some of you might know us as school games organisers, but because that's the national name for us, but in Surrey we're ASOs. And there's four of us and we all work with a different area within Surrey. So we have a certain number of schools. So I've got 89 schools on my school games dashboard. So I work with all of those as much as I possibly can. And then we're just trying to make them not only spend their sports and PE premium for the primary schools, but also with the secondary schools and the colleges and the special schools, just to try and make sure all their children are getting opportunities to be physically active. So we're more about targeting those children that need it the most, rather than the highly competitive events.
Right. So, and the thing is, it is having worked with yourselves for a little while now, it is slightly different for how you guys do things compared to, I suppose, a lot of SGOs, because you are very much working really closely together, aren't you? And all under sort of the same banner.
Yes, yeah, we are. So normally an SGO in most of the other counties, there are a couple that are the same as us, but they work with a base in a secondary school. So they are normally a secondary school PE teacher, and then they have a 3-day SGO role working with the local schools. We work all together and we're hosted by Surrey County Council. So they put us up. So we work with our active partnership, which is obviously Active Surrey. And then that kind of means that we have a wider scope. So we do have our areas that we work with, but we also get involved with the county-wide events. So we're targeting Surrey as a whole, as a team, rather than working in silo.
And again, we probably deal with things slightly differently. So in terms of your role and as a part of the active partnership, how do you see your role when engaging with someone like ourselves as Panathlon?
I think one of the areas, so we look at it as what are the schools not doing? So the associations in Surrey, the sports associations, which are groups of schools, they run a very sort of comprehensive calendar of events already. So we don't really want to duplicate those or take over, because they're obviously running those and we want them to do that. So we looked at where the gaps were. And I think one of the main gaps was for children with SEND or additional needs. There really weren't any opportunities for them. So when I know that we've worked with you in the past for different events, sort of one-off events, I just reached out and thought it would be good to see if we could set something up that could be a bigger part of the calendar, so that could happen annually and allow those children that definitely don't get the opportunities from the data. The Surrey data tells us they don't have the opportunities overall to take part in physical activity or sports.
Right. So, and we were just talking briefly before we started this. So we're entered under working with you and the team. Fundamentally, we've now moved into our third year.
Yeah.
What was it like before? And what is it like? And how have you seen the work that we're now doing together improve or move, not necessarily improve, but move forward what you're doing?
I think the fact that when we did it, so for the 3 years that I've been doing it with you guys, the first year we obviously put on events and they weren't full, and we didn't have as many. And now, I mean, for this year, for example, currently getting the invites sent out and the schools signing up, we are almost full in every single event. And we've increased the number of events already. So we've already got our 8 primary Panathlon events happening. And we've got our 3 secondary and our 1 infant. And pretty much apart from 3 of them, they are completely full. And 2 of them have a waiting list that's just as big. So we've got the 8 schools taking part, and we've got a waiting list of 8 schools. So it's grown a lot in the 3 years from having. I think we started off with, if I remember rightly, I think we had 5 primary events, and
Maybe, yeah, I think 5.
secondary.
Yeah, I think 5.
And they weren't full. Maybe one of them was full that first year, and then the second year we had a few more, and now this year I'm like, oh, maybe we need to put on some more.
And I think hopefully that shows the importance of not only what we can offer, but how we work together, because it is really, I personally, it is a real partnership.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, you guys are crucial. You're proper cogs in our wheel. You might as well come to Surrey County Council and sit next to the office. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys have got the expertise. You've been there, you've done that. So, I mean, I think it's probably, being honest, when you start with children with special needs or disabilities, it's a bit of a worrying subject. So you don't want to offend anyone, you don't want to do the wrong thing. So I think working with you, as well as actually going into those schools, whether it's the mainstream schools with the Senko or the departments, or whether it's the special schools directly, and just actually talking to them and talking to the children and getting your expertise and what you've done before. Yeah, it's been invaluable and it's really helped. And I know, as well as obviously we've got the Panathlon event, you do the Panathlon swimming directly with the schools. We have the Panathlon girls football that you guys run, that's always been for secondary, but this year we're also going to do primary as well. So we're kind of expanding everything, just as we're realizing that it's what the children want, it's what the children need, and you guys are there and very willing, which we are very grateful for, to help us run these kind of things.
When you started, and obviously you reached out, I assume you probably reached out to Tony.
Yeah.
What were your initial expectations of actually being able to come to us and go, look, this is what, and I'm assuming obviously from that point to now, have the expectations changed?
Yeah, I mean, originally when I reached out, I was like, right, okay, Surrey's quite wide as a county.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's see if we can maybe do 1 primary event on the east side and 1 primary event on the west side, and then maybe have a county final in the middle, kind of thing, and then maybe see how the secondary goes, maybe do the same, 1 on each side. And that was probably my initial idea when I spoke to Tony about what we could do, just as a starting point of, let's see if the schools have the appetite for Panathlon and it's something that children more so actually want to take part in. And then, yeah, I mean, that's grown from, so I was thinking 2 primary, 2 secondary and a final. And now we have 8 primary, 1 infant, 3 secondary and a final for each. So yeah, it's definitely expanded quite a lot. And we've also talked about other options going forward, things like the 10-pin bowling possibly as well. You do the swimming already. We're already expanding the Panathlon girls football. So yeah, I think it's probably going to be something, willing that we all are still working together, that we can keep expanding as time goes on.
Yeah, and I think we value every partnership, but obviously we've worked closely because obviously I'm the link for Surrey. And actually what I've personally found is it's a real smooth transition, because actually we agree the dates.
Yeah.
And then from our point of view, you're in touch with all the schools already and things like that. And we just constantly talk and work together to then make sure the events are ready. And I think it's a real simple way for us to work. And obviously we know the dates for the finals and everything else. So everything's there. And as you say, the growth has been massive already. Is there, I suppose from a sort of an active partnership point of view, where, yes, we talk about the needs of the children and what there is, but have there been any other adding, because obviously we do a lot with leaders, and so are there other things that have come into it that you thought actually we've really taken this out of because of the leaders and because of other things? How important is leadership to yourselves?
Oh, I mean, leadership's huge to us at Active Surrey. So we do a lot of leadership training ourselves with children in schools, and it's allowed us to use leaders from various different schools. It's actually helped for me personally. It's helped me build a relationship with one of the local colleges. So they started up a brand new leadership program, and it's really pushed them. And they now reach out to me to be like, right, what events can we do? Because we've got all these children and we want them to have the opportunity. I say children, they're young adults at that age, aren't they, at college? But yeah, they want to give them as many opportunities as they can. So we've managed to build a closer relationship with people like the colleges and some of the secondary schools because it's allowed them to give their students the leadership opportunities. And I know that there was one leader last year at one of our colleges who kind of struggles with the academic side of things. And she spoke to, I think it was with you, Dom, actually. She said to us at the end, if she could do more things like this, she might actually come into college more, which I thought was just really, it's just such a simple thing for her to say, but had such a huge impact on me because I thought, yeah, it's these kind of things that if we hadn't have come in to run a Panathlon event, which she was leading, then she'd have never got that opportunity and may never have wanted to go further with kind of sports coaching or teaching or whatever it is she decides she wants to do. And then one of the children taking part actually gave her a hug at the end and just said, this has been the best day of my life. I've loved it. And that the smile on her face I thought was great. So I mean, yeah, the children that are taking part with the special needs or the disabilities or the additional needs are really important. But I think there's so many other people as well, and so many teachers that you just see and come up and say, thank you so much. You've had such an impact. We've never seen these children. You've helped with their behaviour. You've given us ideas of things that we can do. So some schools have taken back some of the Panathlon activities to do at school. It's kind of something for their children to enjoy. It's like a reward for them. So yeah, it's definitely we've had a wider impact, I think, than we possibly thought between us.
And I think doing that together, and as you say, I remember that student who spoke to us, and as you say, the impact it has. Not only are we talking about the impact on the children taking part in the leagues, but actually, as you say, the staff. Actually, there is that real bit of, oh, I didn't realise the children could do this, or I've seen them in a completely different light when they're taking part, or the fact they're all cheering each other on, they're all high-fiving each other. There's that real part of togetherness in those teams. From a SEN provision and the opportunities, what role you've said earlier about, it's been a pivotal role, but how do you see our role can be played further in trying to support children within the SEN provision across the county of Surrey?
I think it would be good that it's made us think at Active Surrey as well about how because we need to get feedback from children. And we realised ourselves that our feedback forms were not actually suitable for certain children with certain special needs. So actually it's made us think about how we can get that feedback about what they want, what they would like to see, and then what could work potentially within certain settings or within the county as a whole. And then I think if we can get that feedback, it's going to be invaluable to help us work out what else we could do, how we could expand. Because I mean, it's very obvious to me now that Panathlon as an event, so whether it's the Extend event or the primary Panathlon event, are very popular. So as far as we can expand those would be great. But I think we're probably at a point now where we could also have a look at, okay, what else is it that the schools would want, more importantly, what the children would like to see.
And I think there becomes a point where it can go so far, but it's just going that controlled direction. Because again, I think having worked across the whole of the county with yourself,
Yeah.
there is that bit where we're actually the amount of feedback we're getting from children or from teachers, we could do so many different things, but it's making sure we do the right things for them.
Yeah.
And the right support for staff, because again, obviously from a direction of trying to get children out, it's now very hard across education and transport costs.
Yeah.
So again, I suppose there's that sort of thinking about how else can we help and help active partnerships and help yourselves and help other partners around the country, how we can embed more within the SEN provision across schools.
Yeah.
By what I suppose we offer or what we can offer and how we work that with yourselves. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's a chat, isn't it, between us to see, and then, I mean, is it the option to be able to do things within certain schools, almost that kind of, I guess, old way of go into a school, they perform and get their results, and then you go into another school, and then it's almost like a virtual table, I guess. It could be.
And I suppose in lockdown we found that, and we had the opportunity to send stuff out to schools, and they could do that within their own environment. But also, I suppose as well, we're very much, when we work with yourselves, it's very much on event-based thing, like events and days. There's always the opportunity to go into school and just do a whole school event.
Yeah.
Or do a help with, because I think a lot of schools seem to struggle with making a sports day inclusive all the time for every child. So how would you see that part? Would you think actually that's something that schools could do and get involved? Because I know we do that with some schools.
Yeah, because you work already, don't you, with some of the associations. I think Surrey Heath you go into and do a lot of work with them directly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's quite a good way, because obviously as SGOs or ASOs, our job is to try and set things up that are then sustainable.
Yeah.
If the money stops and or we're not there, they can still carry it on. So actually probably the process of you working with certain associations directly and helping them maybe a bit more intensely is actually a good way of keeping you in there and making sure you're on the radar of schools, not just via me.
And I think as well, it's that bit of going, we could then obviously look at working, we're always going to want to work close with yourselves anyway. But again, it's that added extra that we can offer, whether it is whether it is become part of that virtual world that we had in COVID, but we still have the opportunity to do some of that now. And I suppose just different ways of working really that suit the children that we work with. So how would you see, and we're not going to hold you to this, yes, this is on a podcast, how do you see the next couple of years where you'd like to potentially go, or where you could see us going in terms of the partnership between yourselves and Panathlon?
I'm hoping it will stay as close as it is. And I think our communication, like you said earlier, that's the biggest part. It's very simple, easy communication. We kind of plan everything out. And it runs smooth. Say that?
And it does. We'll take that, it does.
I think, it would be great to cut. So this year, because I've said already, our Panathlon events are so oversubscribed, some of them. And then thinking, because we've obviously got the final and then we have a certain number, my thoughts at the moment are at the point of, okay, how do I cater for all of these schools? Because I don't like the idea that some of these schools won't get to take part because the events are full. And it's not as easy as just putting on another one. If we're leading into a final, we can only have so many. So I can't say I've got a solution as of yet. But that's what my thinking's been over the last few weeks was, well, how can we work with you and the rest of the Panathlon team to just make sure that everybody has those opportunities and just get some more. I mean, the girls' Panathlon football has always been great. And the fact that we're now expanding that to primary as well as the secondary, I think that could be, depending on how that goes, again, that could be more scope to go for other year groups. Because obviously that's specific year groups. I think it's 7 and 8, and it's going to be 3 and 4 this year. So it's like Can we add extra of those? And then it's just different opportunities for me. I'm very much, as a person, always like the idea of children and young people just having as many opportunities as they can.
Yeah.
So any other activities, any new sports, that as long as we can fit it into your calendars and our calendars,
Yeah.
busy, and the school's calendars, because they're busy as well, that it's just, as many opportunities as possible to try out different types of physical activity or different sports, because you just never know what that one child might experience and then be like, yes, this is it. This is what I want to do. And then they can carry it on. So
it's exciting times ahead. Last question that I ask everyone who comes on. So if there was a head teacher or a class teacher or a Senko or someone involved with the school who'd heard about Panathlon but weren't too sure whether to take part or not, what would you say to them?
I always put into all of my emails and correspondence with the schools, whoever it is at the schools, the link to your page that's got obviously the little videos on, just to show them, because they're really fantastic. Just to show them what it is, explain it to them. If they're really unsure, my suggestion to them would be to come along to one of the events that's happening. So if they really don't want to bring the children, then come along to see it in action, because I think seeing it is the best thing, just taking part.
Yeah.
I have to say, we haven't really had, between the four of us, because the others feed back to me with what the information they get, we've never really had a school say, oh, I'm not really sure about this.
Yeah.
They kind of ask us what it is, so we can go in and we talk to them and we show them your video clips and explain how it works.
Yeah.
And they're normally very happy with the idea, so we've never really had one that's kind of gone, oh, not sure I want to go to that.
Yeah. But otherwise, see the videos, turn up to an event, have a go.
Yeah.
And hopefully they won't regret it.
Yeah, they've got nothing. I don't think they've got anything to lose. So that's how I'd kind of say it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to, it's not going to harm the children coming along and trying something out.
Coming along, trying something out, getting a medal that they've probably never had before.
Yeah, which are very nice, by the way. Very disappointed I don't get one.
Oh, hang on. When Tony hears this, he'll probably go, oh, there you go. It'll be fine. Helen, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's great working with you and alongside you on the event. And let's make sure these continue. And it won't be long before we see you soon.
Yeah, we get going. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you everyone for tuning in. This is Panathlon People. I'm your host, Don Fenton, and I'll see you again soon. Take care now. Bye.
Panathlon, I'm in.
Panathlon, I'm in.
Panathlon, we're in!
Panathlon, I'm in.